live, yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. It's been a trying week. I mean, it has been a really, really rough week. If you are a fan of justice for all, and if you believe in the rule of law, and if you believe that every life matters, but more specifically, Black Lives Matter, this has been a really, really rough week. First of all, I'm going to say this, and let's just put it on out there. Say her name. Brianna Taylor. Unfortunately, there were no charges for her murder by the Attorney General of Kentucky. The only charges that were brought forth were charges of an wanton, which I ain't never heard of, wanton endangerment of the wall. I'm sorry, of the other people in the other apartments. But there were no charges for the murder of Brianna Taylor. I don't know about y'all. I mean, yeah, I'm hurt. I'm upset. Not surprised. Not unusual. It was interesting that they announced that there would be no real charges on the same day the murderers of Emmett Till were acquitted. It's kind of ironic, don't you think? You can always count on some skin folk that ain't kinfolk to take care of business for old boy Mitch. Because that's what they did. That's disgraceful. It's upsetting. I'm sorry, I can't even be sleep in my bed while Black and not get prosecutorial justice for my murder. I can't be in my bed sleep as a Black woman and know that I can wake up without somebody busting my door in and putting 6 bullets in my body. But here's the deal. Yeah, I'm mad. I want to blow stuff up. I want to set things on fire. But what I really want to do is get people to turn out to vote. Because see, you may not be scared of a march. You may not be scared of some looters or rioters or whatever. But what you are scared of is if we show up en masse to the polling place. Because see, the Attorney General is an elected position. This year, we have Jonathan Winesapple on our side running for Attorney General. Because see, touchy-feely Attorney General Curtis Hill lost his primary. And Tyler Keita, come on, y'all. How many more times we got to go around that wheelbarrow? We can elect our Attorney Generals. We can elect our prosecutors. We can elect all those people that we want to hold accountable when things go awry. So if you stay home, then you're allowing the system to win the way it is. We have the opportunity to reshape the system. I know you don't want to hear this right now. I know y'all don't. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you would rather do something else. But if we show up en masse to the polls, not just because 45 stinks, not because Governor Holcomb wants to go ahead and open the state all the way back up and our coronavirus numbers are going up. There are so many other races that we have to consider. And if we really want to reshape our justice system, our law system, or whatever you want to call it, see, there's rules in place. There's a process in place. And constitutionally, they can't keep us out of the process. They can try. But on our side, we got people that will help you. We have a hotline. I'm going to share it with you. A hotline in case you see some activities that shouldn't be happening at the polling place. I'll give you a number. I'm going to put it in the link so that you guys can call whenever there's a problem. But justice for Brianna is not going to happen until we have people in place that value our lives. I don't care what they look like. They just got to know that we are human too. I don't care what color they are, what race they are, what gender they are. They just need to know that our lives matter. And then, of course, we lost the notorious one, the champion for women's rights, the Supreme Court justice who, even in dissent, which was where she spent most of her time writing dissents, was standing up for women and our ability to make money equitably. See, she was able to marry, reproductive rights with financial gain and financial freedoms. She was able to weave that and say that if you don't acknowledge the both of those, then you are not looking out for women. So that was a huge loss. And as you see, Moscow Mitch is going to do his thing. He's going to rush through a Supreme Court justice. I still find it interesting that they can rush through the Supreme Court justice, but we're still waiting on more relief from this COVID. They can't talk about that. That was on their desk back in May. But you can rush through this. You know where their priorities are. The priorities have always been the courts. We were sleeping while we were happy about getting black people elected and gay people elected and more women elected. They were stacking the courts. They've been doing it for 50 years. They got a 50-year head start, but no matter. We still show up. There's 3 branches of government for a reason. We still have an opportunity to impact this thing. You just can't stay home. And I don't mean just 2020 either. 2022, you got to show up with gusto too, even when we take back the White House. You got to keep showing up. There's a reason why it's called a citizen government. All right? One other thing, I've been seeing some posts about folks getting their absentee ballots, and there's been some rejections. Make sure you check all your signatures and you get all your initials before you mail it back in. If for some reason you don't have the two initials that say this is authorized to get you this absentee ballot, call your county. Call your county clerk, call your county election commission, or call your county Democratic Party. Which one? I don't care. Call somebody and let them know. But make sure if you have the 2 initials that you, as the voter, make sure that you have signed and initialed in every place that you're supposed to. Please, 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 so they don't throw them out. Now, the law says they're not supposed to, but you're not going to be there when, yes, we're going to have poll watchers, but just do your part. Do your part, get your signature, get your initials in all the right places so that your vote counts, because 2020 is way too important. And look, it's not just about flipping seats, it's about holding on to seats too. And you know me, I'm about that state house. I have two incumbents that we're going to talk to tonight. And I tell you what, I am a fan of both of these ladies. I had a chance to meet my first guest. I was over in, I want to say Terre Haute for a spaghetti dinner. And she was very serious. Like, I'm serious, I'm running, I'm winning. Like, there was no muss, no fuss. Y'all give it up for Miss Tonya. I never can pronounce your last name, so forgive me. Tonya Pfaff. Whew, I was about to mess up. Tonya Pfaff, representing incumbent House rep, representing District 43. Tonya, welcome to Turn Left.
Thanks, Dana, for having myself and Cherrish on here.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
You do such a fantastic job. I just rather listen to you all night. Is that all right?
You don't want to do that. I'm telling you, you're going to get tired. You're going to get tired. And then next up, someone not only have I had a chance to be a mentee from afar and watch how she conducts herself and watches how she handles herself in the State House. I actually worked with her while she was in the treasurer's offices. I was in both ISA and in the surveyor's office. She's a young lady that I have been watching and seeing how she takes care of business. And look, real talk, when she got an issue with me, she don't mind calling me and telling me about it either. That's what I love. I love people that hold me accountable and allow me to hold them accountable. Y'all give it up for my girl, Representative Cherrish Pryor, representing District 94. Cherrish, welcome to Turn Left.
Thank you, Dana. Glad to be here. Glad to be with Tonya. She's awesome.
Absolutely. Both of y'all are. And so, one of the great things about what we're trying to do with this show is we want to turn these shows into also pseudo fundraisers, right? Because we have to figure out more ways to help our candidates out. So if you hear anything that any of these two ladies are saying, don't worry, you ain't got to look for their donation button. It's right there in the information. You can click on it. So if you like anything that Tanya's talking about, click on her link. If you like anything that Cherrish is talking about, click on her link and donate to their campaigns. All right, Tonya, I haven't had a chance to have you on the show. Why don't you tell the people who you are and where you come from?
Sure. So I'm from Terre Haute. I'm on the west side of Indiana, and I was born and raised here. I'm 53. I've been in Terre Haute most of my life, as a matter of fact. I lived in Germany for 2 years and Japan in a year. So I've kind of traveled a lot. Actually, I've traveled 49 states and 13 countries. So I like to think that I'm not just a Terre Haute girl, so to speak. I got a little broader view of the world, so to speak. I'm a high school math teacher. I'm in my 28th year. So actually right now we are in class. My school, half the class, 750 students come one day, 750 the next day, and the teachers are there every day. So every day I teach math because, everyone loves geometry. So I try to, yeah, no one likes math. But anyway, except me.
I like binary math.
Well, Cherrish likes it too. We talk about that all the time. I've been married for 25 years and have 4 children. So because of this, Miss Rona came, all 4 of them came back home. So they are 20, gosh, they're old, 23, 21, 20, and 16. So we're all just trying to make it through this thing. But that's a little bit about me.
I love it. And so was there something in your past, in your upbringing that said, you know what, I'm going to go into public service and I'm going to run for office?
So I was raised in a political family. We talked politics every Sunday night at dinner, and I thought everyone else in the world did as well. And then the older I got, I realized I had a pretty unusual upbringing. My father was the press secretary for Governor Bai for 8 years. So I was aware of what was going on then. But then I had 4 children, and it wasn't going to be me. I wasn't going to be the politician. So I have 3 brothers. My oldest brother, Todd, is on city council. My brother, Tim, runs the Peace Learning Center in Indianapolis. And then my brother, Thad, is a political consultant in Milwaukee. So I guess you could say we're a pretty political family. And then, but what happened to me was the former representative from my district, Clyde Kersey, decided to retire after 22 years. And I was honestly so mad at General Assembly for all the stuff they've done to public education that I looked at my husband and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to run. And he said, you should. And I said, okay. So I ran and here I am 2 years later. Just finished my first, full session, the 2 years with Cherrish and the other 148 people. And it has been an eye-opening experience, but I like it, which is why I'm up for re-election. I feel like I personally am just getting started. We have so many problems in Indiana that, Indiana's a good place, but man, we got a lot of things to fix and to do better. So that's why I'm running again.
I'm excited about it. I'm glad that you won last time. I've watched some of the pieces of legislation that you've been introduced. You've actually had legislation go to committee and get to the floor. I mean, not a lot of honestly, with that supermajority, they're just not listening to our ideas, which is really frustrating when you recognize that,
right.
Just because you have a supermajority doesn't necessarily mean that that's how our state makeup is. So half of our state is not actually getting their causes heard when they don't put them to the floor. So congratulations on getting bipartisan support and getting bills to the floor for a vote. Top of those bills, which one are you the most proud of?
Well, probably the one I got passed, which is it focuses on special education. And so a lot of students, through a wide variety of reasons, don't end up graduating high school. Mm-hmm. And, I could go on for hours about this, but, testing our society. And they don't really have a lot of opportunities, especially students with disabilities. So the bill that I got passed was a Students with Disability Act that goes and for the last 20 years funds kids and gives them opportunities to enter the workforce, get more training. Mm-hmm. So it's an education bill for students with disabilities and IEPs. And, because fundamentally, I really believe that everyone who wants to work should be able to work. And so that kind of goes through, this one specifically goes to a different segment of society. So that's what I'm most excited about. All legislators have 100 things they want to get passed. So I was pretty excited that got passed.
I'm excited too, because I don't know if you know or not, but my ex-wife actually has a business where she cares for special needs adults. And so, as one of the reasons why I got involved was, RIFRA, because here my wife was, doing all these amazing things in the community, and they were finding ways to, discriminate against us, basically. But I love that that you focused in on our segment of our society that is often overlooked, and that is so important. So that's good stuff. So I'm gonna bring Cherrish in because I want to I'm gonna introduce her in because I know that you guys are probably working on some things together. Cherrish, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Well, thanks, Dana, and I'm really glad to be on here with Tonya. She's been a great addition to the legislature, and she kind of underestimated herself. She has some amendments that got passed too, and oftentimes it's not just the bills that you get passed, but it's also the amendments that can make a big difference in some of the bills that we pass during the legislature as well. Even though our big name may not be on the bill, an amendment that you get added to a bill is pretty important as well.
I love it.
So I represent the northwest side of Indianapolis, which is the Lafayette Square area. I've served on the in the legislature since 2008. I also previously served on the city county council as well. I am on the Ways and Means Committee and also local government committee. And I was born and raised in Mississippi, moved to Indiana when I was almost 16, went to IU, graduated from there, and went on to graduate school. I got my master's from IUPUI and my undergrad from IU Bloomington in criminal justice undergrad and public affairs, my master's degree. And I'm just glad to serve. One of the, I think, most rewarding things to me about serving is the fact that I'm able to help people in getting the emails and the phone calls and seeing people out in public saying that they have been positively impacted by a bill that I've supported or by something that my office has done to help them. Those are things that are rewarding to me and just keep me going on and focused. Being in a super minority, it can be pretty daunting, and I'm a super minority of a super minority of a super minority. I'm a Democrat, I'm a Black, and I'm a woman, so I get it 3 times over. But I am absolutely proud of all 3 of those things. They make me who I am, and they make me strong. But as I have to proudly deal with those 3 things, those small victories that you get from your constituents, those are the things that really keep me going and make it, and they make such a big impact in my life. And that's why I continue to run.
I love it. Now, what part of Mississippi did you grow up in?
Holly Springs is the northern part of Mississippi, north central, about 30 minutes south of Memphis.
Okay. And see, I didn't grow up. My mama grew up. I feel like, because I spent every summer down there, they would send us down there.
They always send the kids back to Mississippi.
Yeah, they would send us down there in August, Cherrish. The hottest
It'll
month.
Be hot.
The hottest month of the year. And so Dana Black would go back to school after spending, 2 weeks in Mississippi. My parents didn't like me. But they're from Forest, Mississippi, which is like 50 miles east of Jackson. So it's in between Jackson and Meridian on 20.
Okay.
So
you're further south than I am.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's where I come back the same color as my shirt. And it was telling you. And when they would introduce you in school, they would always announce your last name first. My mom and
Pryor,
daddy
Cherrish, yeah.
No, they were Black, Dana. And after coming back from Mississippi, I'm telling you, my mama didn't like me. So, ladies, the reason why I wanted to go ahead and bring y'all in, you guys have so much to try to overcome in that state house with this being in a super minority. It is so daunting just to get a bill heard. Talk about some of the things that you guys have been doing collaboratively to try to get some things passed. And you can pick any issue that you want. But I know that, first of all, our Democratic Party, as far as the Democratic caucus, we have more women than we do men, which speaks volumes about our party. But talk about some of the things that you guys are working on collaboratively that you're trying to get called to the committees and get on the floor.
Well, I think some of the things that our caucus has been working on and will continue to work on is equal pay for women. That is something that has been at the forefront of our caucus. Education, full funding of public education, which Tonya is a master at and can speak about that certainly more eloquently than I can. And then we have also been focused on minimum wage, increasing the minimum wage. So those are three things that just jump to the top of my head that we as a caucus continue to try to work on to make sure that we're improving the lives of all Hoosiers in the state of Indiana. And I can assure you those are going to be things that we're going to continue to focus on when we go back in session.
I love it. Tonya?
One of my big fights, of course, is for teacher pay. And if you remember Red for Ed Day.
Of course.
So 15,000 teachers show up at the State House. And, that many people, there's a problem, right? Mm-hmm. The Democrat caucus, you can check all our voting records. Every Democrat in our caucus is public education all the way. So, they highly support public education, highly support raising teacher pay. And, it's just a huge fight. And then, so my 15,000 friends show up, and then being in the super minority, we go into session and they say, no, we don't have the money, not this year. Okay, well, you can't keep saying that over and over again. So, I want to go back to Cherrish for a minute. It's funny because, Cherrish is one of my mentors, and, the three things would you say you're in a super minority? I will tell you, for those of you that have never watched her, when she gets up to the microphone, people listen. They just stop and listen. And that doesn't always happen. And it, she is very eloquent and very intelligent. And so when she makes an argument, everyone just kind of sits there and goes, oh, that's a good argument. Now, that doesn't mean that they agree. It doesn't mean that way. But
it sounded good, though, right?
It definitely, she's doing fantastic work there. And you're right about amendments. Cherrish is, she won't toot her own horn, but she's passed so many amendments that people would have no idea what an amazing effect that her legislation has done. But when you're a super minority, I don't think a lot of people really understand what that means. I just want to give a concrete example for people.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say, I have a really good logical bill that makes sense for the state of Indiana. What being in a super minority means is that I have to go to the chairman of the committee, which is almost always a chairman, and I have to beg for my bill to be heard. That's what being in a super minority means. And in my particular case, in my three committees, none of my bills have been heard except the one that got passed. So out of 2 years, they just look at them and they just kind of go, huh. And then I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if this is true, but I'm pretty sure I walk out the door and it goes in the trash can because I never hear about it again. But that's what being in a super minority means. And I didn't really fully understand that until I walked into the State House 2 years ago.
Wow, that is crazy. And that's
what and Tonya, and then even on top of that, sometimes you have good bills. Your bills are probably good bills, and they won't pass your bill or hear your bill this year. They'll bring it back the next year as their bills.
Yep.
That happens as well. And there's been cases where I know Linda Lawson, who's running for
LG,
she had a bill, and someone told her, yeah, that's a great bill. I hear it, but you have to take your name off of it. It's going to have to be mine. What? So those are the type of things that that you deal with being in a super minority. But the good thing is, even though we're in a super minority, what we still have is our voice. Mm-hmm. And we still have the ability to go to the mic and to speak. And they can cut us off, or not if they call the bill to question to end debate. But we have an opportunity to speak on the floor of the House so that our legislators, the other legislators cannot say, well, I didn't know. When we say it on the floor, you do know. Maybe we're not paying attention, but it was said. So we still have an opportunity to express ourselves on the floor of the House and also in committee. That is one thing that they cannot take away from us.
Man, you guys got me all like starry-eyed because I know that's why I ran for office. I know that I ran for office because I wanted to argue on behalf of my constituents. I wanted to argue and be a voice for people where the policies were being made. And I'm literally like, I want to do that. I mean, and let me tell you, I just came from the Hoosier Women Forward meeting today. I had a chance to talk to the ladies and listening to you guys talk about how you both enhance our General Assembly, not Tonya tooting her horn or Cherrish tooting her horn, but you guys sharing experiences with each other. That's what Hoosier Women Forward is about, and that's why it's important as Democrats that we work together so that you can create those relationships and lift each other up.
Well, that's a great organization. I am the vice president of Hoosier Women Forward, so you all support it. If you know people who great women who are Democrats, have them apply for the program when applications become available next year.
Well, and so part of being Hoosier Women Forward or just running for office, I think a lot of women, I mean, let's face it, we'd have better bills if the women were the majority. RGB was asked, when will there be enough women on the Supreme Court? And she said 9. And they said, well, what, you probably know the quote. And she's like, well, wouldn't that be too many? Well, no one blinked an eye when it was 9 men. So, if it was all women, we'd have better bills. But saying that, we're 27% women in the House and the Senate. I think it's 27. And quite frankly, we need more. So one of my big pushes is always, of course, to vote, which I'm sure we'll get to that. But also run for office, run for local offices. We need more women. We need more mothers. We need more caregivers. We need more grandmothers. We need more women in office because we'll have a better society if that happens.
Absolutely. I always say the conversation changes for the better when women are in the conversation. One of the photos that drove me crazy from the Orange Menace's term was they were sitting around talking about healthcare, and it was all old white dudes. How you gonna talk about healthcare with only half the species, and then you ain't even it's not even a well represented half of the species? You know what I'm saying? It's like the idea that men know what's best for women is, and they're not in healthcare, or they're not in, you know what I'm saying, where they actually know the anatomy, or the mental state. So as you guys are looking ahead, right? That you guys are going to win your races. I'm calling it. They both won. When you guys are, there's that period in between the election and the day that the session starts. Talk about some of the things that you guys work on in that, that's that period that we may or may not know about.
Between election and session start. So one, we'll have organization day. That's more of a ceremonial day. But during that time, even right now, I'm working on bills that I'm planning to introduce for next year. We will be done with all of our interim study committees at that time. So any reports that we have or legislation that may come out of those interim study committees, our legislative services agency will be working and preparing those. So that's really a time where most of us will be focusing on the legislation that we'll be presenting in January when we go back in session.
Okay. Tonya, have you done all your summer studies too?
I was at one today for 4.5 hours. I was one on Monday. So I take the day off of teaching. So just so you know, I don't get paid to, I don't double dip.
You ain't got to tell me.
Anyway, so what I do during that, couple months is that's my coffee time. So I pretty much meet with someone different at 4:00 almost every day for that 6 weeks. Just a lot of people have a different issues, and they hope, maybe I'll sponsor legislation, or I'll meet with, some union people with different segments of society. Yesterday after work, I went on a tour of Ivy Tech, our local campus, to learn about precision agriculture. So I think what people don't know, what we do on our off time, when we're not in session, is we're just constantly meeting with different segments of Indiana, basically, be it a lobbyist or going on a tour, or just meeting someone local who has an issue who says, can you do something to help me change this?
Right.
So that's kind of how I spend my time in that particular time of the year.
So you guys are never off. Even though session, you guys are considered part-time as far as legislators, because there are other states that have full-time state legislatures. You're still working full-time. You're always connecting and being in the community.
Yeah, we are, Dana. There's always something happening in our community, neighborhood association meetings, issues that pop up in your community. Sometimes even zonings. Right now, I'm dealing with a zoning issue in my district, and even though that's local, my constituents want me to be a part of that, and so it's something that I agree with them on, so I'm a part of it. So going to those meetings, and then some of us have full-time jobs, as well, and then with family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really being a legislator in Indiana is stated as part-time, but for me, and I feel that if you really want to be effective, you can't do it part-time because people's issues, they're not part-time issues. And so if you want to be effective, you're always going to be busy and you're always going to be doing something.
I love it. And I often see, the Legislative Black Caucus, you guys have like events like all over the state, and you don't one of the things I always want to do, and I make sure that we do, I know that Indianapolis is our capital and it's in the center of the state, and I understand geographically, blah blah blah, but we cannot be Indy centered all the time. And one of the things that I love is that you guys get out as a caucus, as the Black Caucus, and get around to the different districts around the state. Talk about where that came from and why you guys found that to be an important measure to take.
Because they want to see how beautiful Terre Haute is.
I like Terre Haute. I have a good time at Terre Haute.
We have Terre Haute has always been on our list, and we love when Tonya shows up. So we appreciate her support when she's there, and I will tell you, the people appreciate her coming as well. It started, we have meetings as a caucus when we're in session, and out of a conversation, it was an idea that Representative Vanessa Summers had, that we get out around the state and tell people what's happening at the legislature. And so from that, we scheduled 6 meetings. 6 meetings the first year, I think 6 the second year, and then we had 7 one year. But we do it because we realize, as the African American caucus, there are issues in our community that we want to make sure that people are aware of, and people cannot always come to the State House. And so we said, well, you know what? People can't come to the State House, but what we can do is we can take the State House to the people, and we do that in the form of our town halls after session is over. And not only do we inform people about the bills that passed that session, we also like to get ideas from people about bills that they think might be important. And so if there's something, the ideas that people have, and those are good ideas, and those are things that we can turn into legislation and introduce it in the future. We used to have a black, kind of like a Black Caucus Institute that lasted for a summit. It was a Black Caucus Summit. We used to have that, and that was 2 years. But that was just in Indianapolis, and I really like the town halls better because it does allow us to go out. We invite legislators who are from that district to come and be a part as well. And so, that's why we're so excited to get out and people, good legislators like Tonya, will show up and participate, and people like seeing them, and they get to feel them and have a conversation with them, not just at their events, but also at ours as well.
I love that. I mean, that camaraderie is so important. I know that a lot of people get upset with our party. They get upset with people within our party. But, the fact that Miss Tonya is saying that, Cherrish was one of my mentors, and listening to the shared desire to get information out to the voters, no matter how we do it, is what our party is all about. We're not afraid to go and listen. I was telling the ladies today in Hoosier Women Forward, you may not like something that an individual did in our party, because humans are gonna human, right? The last time I checked, wasn't there none of them perfect, but look at the policies that people are introducing and how they impact your lives, and how it's important that you align yourself with people whose policies align with your value system the most. You're never going to get anybody that agrees with you 100%. Tonya, you said you was married, 25 years?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I know you love your husband, right? You love him you love him, you like him a little bit, right?
He's a good guy, yes.
He's a good guy. Do you agree with everything? Do y'all agree on everything?
Listen, I have 6 people that I'm living with. We can't even agree on what to have for dinner. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
I did want to talk real quick about the accessibility that the Indiana Black Caucus does when they go and travel. So especially in these days, politicians, Cherrish, I assume you've gotten this too. Politicians like a bad word. But when the Black Caucus comes over, I'm there, there's 9 of the General Assembly in the room. These are real people. So we are real people. And I think traveling around the state, I've gone on a couple things around the state and done some videos with some different state reps. I think people see us in a different light than, let's just say, social media and that whole area where people are just firing things off and they've never met us. So I love the fact that they travel. And, I think as legislators, we really need to be more accessible to the people. I think it helps because it also goes the other way. Sometimes you meet them and you go, "Oh, I can't vote for them." So it works both ways.
It does, but you know what? This is what you signed up for, right? This is what you signed up for. You signed up to represent the people, and your job is to even listen to those dissenters. Your job is to listen to those who don't agree with you, because what they may share with you might actually help you add a little extra seasoning to your bill or your amendment. There's value in dissent, and this idea that we all have to be in lockstep with each other, that's silliness. That's the Republicans. That's what they do. They be in lockstep whether it's ethical or not, or whether they lying or not. I would rather somebody call me a moderate than for me, you know what I'm saying? Because it's so important. So before we go, we've got to talk about it, because I worry about our teachers, not just the fact that y'all did put on your Red for Ed. You went to the State House and said, "Yo, can you please give us some money so we can, have a living wage and retain quality teachers? Can you please give us some money so that we can, buy supplies?" And they said, no, we don't care what you want. Now they're asking you to risk your life. They didn't want to give you any money. They didn't want to help you out in the classrooms with some of the financial needs. Now they're saying, "Oh, by the way, risk your life." First of all, talk about how you are dealing with this personally, if you don't mind. And then talk about what it means to the community and the school systems that you're in, that you guys are having to go through this. And then what we need to do as a state to advocate more for our teachers. I know I gave you a lot.
I was going to write it down and then I lost track. So personally, it was a tough decision because this is my 28th year. I have 3 years left. I can't afford to just walk off my job now.
Right.
I can retire in 3 years. So I did not want to go back face to face. But when you have a job and they say you go back or you lose your job, you go back. So saying that, I'm doing okay. I'm very tired. So what I didn't anticipate, I'm in a mask all day long. And so I have to project my voice to the person in the back of the room. And I have to project through a mask and articulate a lot more, which takes a lot more energy. You don't really think about that, but one-on-one conversation, you're in a mask, it's fine. But if you're standing at the front of a classroom and you're trying to get that person in who probably doesn't want to listen to
geometry,
another equation about geometry, it takes a lot more effort, so to speak. And so personally, I'm okay. I just find myself a lot more run down than usual. But saying that, it's okay. My daughter attends the same high school I do, so I couldn't send her back and not myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was quite fair. So personally, I'm doing okay. It's better than I thought it was going to be. It's not perfect. I think the COVID crisis the pandemic has really highlighted how important teachers are. Back in March and April, there were some great memes about parents saying, I just got an A on my son's geometry test. Parents were scrambling to try to do what we do. And part of the problem with education is everyone's been to school, so they all have an opinion in the General Assembly about how education should work. Now, some of them haven't sat in a classroom for 50 years or 5 years, but everyone has an opinion. And, at the end of the day, I think I'm getting to your third question. What do we need to do as a state? It's ridiculous. You've got counties trying to steal teachers from other counties. One of the most telling examples I remember, I was sitting, in that seat in the education committee, and an English teacher from Evansville was talking about, she made, I think it was $36,000, she had to have a second job. And well, first of all, you shouldn't, have to have a second job to do the one that you love. But anyway, so I listened to her testimony, and then the superintendent came up like 3 people later. And at the end, he said, now, where's that English teacher? I will give you $5,000 raise if you come to my school corporation tomorrow. And my jaw just dropped because, in business, people go and recruit other people. I get it. But we don't recruit other teachers. You go and you find where you want to teach, right? But I'm not used to that whole shuffle. And so why do we have to do that? Because the General Assembly doesn't fund public education enough. So we're out here trying to pass referendums so we can keep our lights on. So the whole system is just kind of messed up. So what do we need to do? It starts with, as you mentioned earlier, basic living wage. So starting in my corporation is $38,000, that's pretty low if you think about the fact that you have to go to college and have a degree to be a teacher. My own children are going to be more in debt than a starting salaries teacher. How can I convince them to go be a teacher?
Right.
I think, it's, everyone says, oh, teachers just want more money. No, we want to not have to have a second job or a third job to educate your children. So I hope I answered.
You did. And here's the thing, and Cherrish, chime in at any time. What is the argument against funding the people who are the mind molders of our future generations? I know that I framed that question in a way that was quite partisan, but when I think about the fact that they're trying to attract businesses, okay, do they really want businesses that have good paying wages, or do you want us to be the low wage state of the nation? What is their argument? You guys are in the chambers, you're in the committees. What are the arguments against taking care of our teachers' needs?
I have not heard a legitimate reason, quite frankly. I do think that there is just a basic level of lack of respect for the people who are in the classrooms. And that is unfortunate. Teachers are molding and oftentimes being a parent
Counselor,
for so many
nurse.
Kids who do not have parents and support systems.
Yeah.
And And so we need to value that. We value businesses. We give tax breaks and tax credits to businesses all the time. Whenever a business company tell us that they want to create jobs and they're going to pay $13, $14, $15 an hour, and we're jumping at the bit to give them a tax credits in any and everything that they ask for. But when you have teachers who are molding our future, and it just falls on deaf ears. And some of it, quite frankly, is, well, you're not spending your money right. Maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. Well, you know what? If we were not so focused on testing and over testing and all these standardized tests, and this year's the I learn, this year's the I read, this year's the whatever, this I something. Constantly
it's all
changing
about paycheck to McGraw-Hill.
I mean, I can't keep up with it. And when I'm sorry, so this is Tonya's area. But
No.
this is just
Well, even though she's the education expert,
kids who are concerned about even taking tests and whether or not they're going to have the test, I think we've gone too far. Mm-hmm. Kids need to have a quality education so that when they graduate, this is how I feel. When they graduate, if they want to go to college, they're educated enough to go to college. If they don't want to go to college, they want to go to the military, they're qualified enough to go to the military. If they want to get in a trade, they can get in a trade. If they just want to go to work, they can go to work and go to college and do whatever later. But unfortunately, I think that we have a group of people who do not value our teachers and our educators and, quite frankly, anybody in the school system the way that they should. But those individuals are molding our future. And other countries value their teachers. There's no reason why we should not be valuing our teachers as well.
Tanya?
Sorry.
No, don't you apologize.
I'm just clapping. Nice job, Cherrish. You go. I'm going to vote for you if I could.
Thank you.
I mean, it's because again, I'm not an educator either, and obviously, I'm qualified to be on the governor's education committee because none of them are educators either. So, and I've never taught a class. But it's astonishing to me as someone out here just in the streets, right? Someone who's just an advocate for people, and I see that in order for us to really attract and retain quality businesses that are going to pay quality wages, we not only have to have a workforce that they can tap into to fill the needed roles, but we also have to have an acceptable quality of life for their employees that decide to come to Indiana. Mm-hmm. And if these folks are worried about whether or not if they come to Indiana, their children, if they don't want to send them to private school or whatever the case may be, that their children will still have the opportunity to get a good education. So I don't understand why they don't understand that we still trying to debate the chicken and the egg, but the last time I checked, the egg don't lay the chicken.
That's true.
Well, and when you're trying to attract businesses or people, they look for two things in a community: schools and healthcare. Gosh. And I have a problem with healthcare we haven't even talked about.
Well, let's go for
it. But I mean, those are the two. Quality of life, those are huge. If I'm trying to move states and I have a couple kids or I'm single or whatever, I'm going to look at those facets and say, how is your quality of place? How's your quality of life? And if we're not even, I don't remember the statistics. We're one of the lowest states paying teacher salaries, 48, 40, way down there. And why would people want to come to Indiana? You can only give so many business tax credits, but you don't have a workforce to go in there because you don't have teachers to teach your workforce. So it all works together. And Dana, you're exactly right. I mean, it's like people just want to talk about it, but we're all our decisions are affecting every aspect of Indiana.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if you were to,
I don't know if this is happening in Terre Haute, but the legislators in Marion County met with the superintendents. We've had a couple of meetings with them, and they said that they are using their bus drivers to help out in the classrooms.
What?
That's how that's the state that we're in right now because of COVID and people, teachers, retiring or, scared to come back. Some of them are older, so um, they're scared to come back. So, you have your bus drivers who are doing double duties and other people in the school systems that are doing double duty to help out teachers. Well, if we paid teachers more, we paid the teachers' assistants more, we could get more people who wanted to do this. And the school bus drivers and the other people in the schools wouldn't have to be doing double duty.
I tell you, teaching assistants, you can get a job at Walmart and make more money than a teacher assistant. God bless those people because they are wonderful people. And the cafeteria workers and the busing, we don't pay them hardly anything. They do it out of the goodness of their heart. And at my school alone, I believe we lost about 21 teachers this year. I'm 53, so people my age and older, they just said, I'm not coming back. They had underlying health issues. I mean, we can't find subs we haven't used the bus drivers yet, but like in my school, on my planning period, I'm asked almost every day if I want to cover another person's period, because we need people. You don't want, you don't want 12, 15 kids sitting there in mass all alone with no teacher in the room.
Exactly.
You want in there, so.
Exactly. And the killer part is, they act like, I don't know when they decided that all of a sudden schools weren't petri dishes. They've been petri dishes since I was a kid. Okay, and so now all of a sudden they're not with the airborne deadly virus that I knew that was airborne and deadly. And that's why I get so frustrated with our current governor. And I was gonna switch to healthcare, but this is all related. They have control of our state entirely, and they have fooled themselves into believing that they're doing an amazing job. Now the COVID cases are on the rise. I think we had another 200 COVID deaths in the last 2 weeks. My numbers may be skewed. I may not have them right, but we lost one Hoosier is one too many. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to tell me that it's okay to open up bars. I'm sorry. Didn't the college campus opening fiasco tell you anything? Young people and alcohol and COVID. Y'all, that ain't a mix. That's not a cocktail I want to consume. Tell me about your governor. What is he doing?
It's a horrible mix. I will tell you that you will not see me in a bar. And as I was reading through that, it really kind of didn't make any sense because you're saying that you can open up to full capacity, but you still have to social distance. Well, you can't full capacity and social distance. The math teacher know this. It just doesn't add up. But I think so I'm gonna get a little political. But honestly, I think that he's getting so much backlash from the people in his party, the far left of far right of his party. I think that he's trying to get some of those people to come back into the fold because they're upset about the mask. They don't think that he should be mandating mask, which will still have the mask. They want things to go normal. Some people still think this is a hoax, even with all the people that are dead. So, I think it seems like to me it's more of a political ploy because, we're going to wait and see until 3 weeks to see how it's going to end up. When 3 weeks, more people are going to be dead. Yeah. But the ironic thing, too, is after the holidays, 2 weeks after that, the numbers always go up because people let their guards down. Mm-hmm. I mean, so we just got off Labor Day. People are still going through that process of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. And I think it's a political ploy. And unfortunately, I think it's going to backfire, but it's going to backfire with more people dying, and that's not something.
That's a sacrifice we shouldn't have to make.
At some point, I think that our governor, definitely at the federal level, but even at the state level, we've made this into a political thing, and it should not be political. This is one thing I think that the country, the leadership, particularly in the Republican Party, should have risen above party, really should have, and put the country first.
Absolutely.
And that did not happen. And we've lost too many lives because of it.
Absolutely. Tonya, did you want to speak on that?
Well, my perspective is we're all tired of this. Everyone's tired of the pandemic. Everyone. So what? It's still here. So everyone just kind of running around trying to pretend that it's all normal. And it's just not. And it's not the time to let our guards down. But, Americans are so impatient. They're just ready to move on to the next thing. And Cherrish is on point. There's no reason to you just can't stop now. It's not over. When's it going to be over? We don't know. That's the problem. So it's going to be over when it's over. So be that a vaccine or whatever scenario, we've got to have patience and keep our guard up. And you're right. Talking about let your guard down. You got a bar, you got young people drinking. It's over.
It's a wrap. And I have to tell you, one of your colleagues really got under my skin in the other house, Senator Bray, and his Gestapo mafia style letter to the school superintendents about we cutting your pay if you don't go full. It's just why we gotta sacrifice our lives for this, for your political points. It's so frustrating. They're denying science,
And let's talk about real quick, no absentee voting. We are one of 4 states now that does not allow COVID as an excuse to stay home and vote. It's ridiculous. So again, we're just all out here pretending that things are normal and they're just not.
And not enough of us are speaking up. And we on this side of the aisle. I need some of there's got to be at least one Republican scientist over there. Yes? Oh, maybe after you get smart. I ain't gonna say it. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Indiana's own Dana Black. I have Tonya Pfaff, who is representing District 43, and Cherrish Pryor representing District 94. Tonya, tell the people where they can find you so they can donate to your campaign, volunteer, or whatever else you got going on.
That Facebook, Tonya Pfaff for Indiana. That's probably the easiest place. I also have a website, same thing. So just, Google Tonya Pfaff. I'm everywhere these days.
Absolutely. And it's a unique name, Pfaff. Yeah. So you can't, Pfaff. It's
right.
There it is.
I married it. I had a great name, Nation, Tonya Nation.
Oh, that was kind of cool.
That is a political name. And anyway, it's Pfaff now.
Been Pfaff for a while. Cherrish, tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me if you go to actblue.com and put in my name, I should pop up, and it's Cherrish with 2 R's and Pryor with the Y.
Excellent, ladies. First of all, let me also say this before I sign off for tonight. When I get a chance, sharing information about candidates is one thing, but when elected officials take time out to come talk to our listeners on Turn Left, it means a little something extra for me. So thank you so much, because you're always out here in the communities. You guys are always having to talk about everything all the time. So I thank you for taking an hour out of your evening to come talk to the Turn Left listeners. We really, really appreciate it. Please know that it means the world to me too, because it's all about getting as much information out to our constituents as we possibly can. Before we go, I want to share this with you all. I ran into my girl Ashley Gervitz the other night. She had a clipboard in her hand. She had some homegirls on her side with masks on. Yes, they were out canvassing. You already know they had their voter registration, make sure people were getting registered to vote. But I also want to share some information that they're working on real quick. The United Northeast Community Development Corporation, they checking it. They call it check in on your neighbor. They said we are providing groceries for those in need. Please call our office by Wednesdays if you need, if you would like for us to drop off groceries by Friday. So I will share that number. It's 317-546-6240, 317-546-6240, or text. And I'll put all this in the comments. Trust, no one believe. Text 317-518-3291. Listen, when we talk about people doing work, this is what I'm talking about. Check on your neighbor. Some people can't actually get out. Some people are too high risk, and they may not be able to afford to always have groceries delivered to them. So, if you guys want to help out, you're not political, but you want to be out in the community, my girl, Ashley Gervitz, is an amazing, amazing community activist. And like I said, they were out knocking doors, registering voters, and trying to feed people. That's what's up. You can't get no better than that. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black. We are bringing you candidates and elected officials all the way up to the election. I'm already putting together my post-election team. Remember to mark your calendars. October 3rd, we will have the Power of the Brown and Black Vote, hosted by Monroe County Democrats, the 9th District Latino Caucus, and the Monroe County Black Caucus, because y'all can't divide marginalized communities. We're going to be in this together. So we're going to bring that conversation together. And of course, as I highlighted all those amazing African-American Black women, I am doing a Latino candidate forum. Yep. That's coming October 13th. We will have a whole show dedicated to all of our Latino candidates running all over the state. And one last show that is a special show. Here in Indianapolis, we hear about all the issues that are happening with our young Black men. I'm going to have a forum with 2 candidates who want to represent at school board level and trustee level, and an organizer of an organization that mentors young Black men. And we're also going to hear from young Black men. So that will be on October 30th. So we're trying to bring you as much information as we possibly can. And if you like what we're doing on Turn Left, click the donate link, because we're going to keep on bringing it to you. We're going to share this information until I'm blue in the face. Oh, wait, I am blue in the face. Turn left. Indiana's own Dana Black. I'll holler at y'all next week. Peace.